For their soul cleaveth to Gee. Hey everyone, welcome back and thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're enjoying this series in Jubilees. Please let me know down below in the comments if you are. Feel free to ask any questions, and I will try my best to get back to you and to answer them. I know that I'm enjoying it, so I guess I can say one of my favorite parts about Jubilees is really all the questions that are getting answered that I don't almost like didn't know that I had, because I always thought that Genesis was like just a complete um, I guess a lesson, or it was just complete, that there was really nothing that was really missing. Excuse me. And in Jubilees, there's just like so much more to flesh out all those things that happened, even in the, like, especially in Abram's life. We're still in Abram's life. He's not been pronounced as Abraham because he and Sarai have not had any children. The Most High hasn't blessed them with children just yet. But it's just really interesting all that happened in between them leaving Babylon and them going into Canaan, basically. They go into Canaan. Excuse me. And like Abram's life. Abram to me is probably one of the most fascinating characters. One of the most fascinating people in the scriptures, because his life was so extensive and there's so much on his life specifically. Like my husband and I were talking about it before, and it's like when you're in Genesis, you get this broad perspective of what's happening in the world, and then you get these little snippets of Noah, and you get this it zeroes in on certain people, and it really really zeroes in on Abram. So I don't know, I think it's just really interesting that we get to know so much about him, and it's important because he's considered the grandfather of faith. Because of his faithfulness, we all get to be heirs to the promise of a promised land. We get to be heirs, and have an inheritance of of land and wealth and blessings in an area that the Most High is designated to us as the 12 tribes of Israel and the strangers that will join us. So, without further ado, I'm going to dive in. Oh, actually, I always want to show the book that I am reading. I'll actually put a picture so you can see the complete thing, either here or here. Normally it's on this side. And so that you can see that I got it from Amazon and that it's still available. So I'll be reading chapters 12, 13, and 14, because there is just so much in Jubilees that I feel like I really want to get to it. So I'm gonna do the home stretch, and I'm gonna do 3 chapters in this one and maybe 3 chapters the next time as well. So chapter 12. And it came to pass in the 6th week, in the 7th year of, that Abram said to Terah his father, saying, Father. And he said, Behold, here I am, my son. And he said, What help a prophet have? What help and profit have we from the idols which thou dost worship, and before which thou dost bow thyself? For there is no spirit in them, for they are dumb forms and misleading of the heart. Worship them not. Worship the God of heaven, who causeth the rain and the dew to descend on the earth, and doth everything upon the earth, and hath created everything by his word, and all life is formed from before his face. Why do you worship things that have no spirit in them? For they are the work of men's hands, and on your shoulders do ye bear them, and ye have no help from them. But they are a great cause of shame to those who make them, and a misleading of the heart to those who worship them. Worship them not. And his father said unto him, I also know it, my son, but what shall I do with the people who have made me to serve before them? And if I tell them the truth, they will slay me, for their soul cleaveth to jeez. Okay. For their soul cleaveth to keep them to worship and honor them. Keep silent, my son, lest they slay thee. And these words he spake to his two brothers, and they were angry with him, and he kept silent. And in the 40th Jubilee, in the second week, in the 7th year thereof, Abram took to himself a wife, and her name was Sarai, the daughter of his father, and she became his wife. And Haran, his brother, took a wife in the 3rd year of the 3rd week, and she bare him a son, and in the 7th year of this week he called his name Lot. And Nahor, his brother, took to himself a wife. And in the 60th year of the life of Abram, that is, in the 4th week, in the 4th year thereof, Abram arose by night and burned the house of the idols, and he burned all that was in the house, and no man knew it. And they arose in the night and sought to save their gods from the midst of the fire. And Haran hastened to save them, but the fire flamed over him, and he was burnt in the fire, and he died in Ur of the Chaldees before Terah his father, and they buried him in Ur of the Chaldees. And Terah went forth from Ur of the Chaldees, he and his sons, to go into the land of Lebanon, and into the land of Canaan. And he dwelt in the land of Haran, and Abram dwelt with Terah his father in Haran 2 weeks of years. And in the 6th week, and in the 5th year thereof, Abram sat up throughout the night on the new moon of the seventh month to observe the stars from the evening to the morning, in order to see what would be the character of the year with regard to the rains. And he was alone, and he sat and observed. Sorry. And a word came into his heart, and said, all the signs of the stars and the signs of the moon and the sun are all in the hand of the Lord. Why do I search them out? If he desireth, he causeth it to rain morning and evening. And if he desire it, he will withhold it, and all things are in his hand. And he prayed that night and said, May God, my God, the Most High, thou alone art my God. And thee and thy dominion have I chosen, and thou hast created all things, and all things that are the work of thy hands. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have swayed over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God, and establish thou me and my seed forever, that we may go not astray from henceforth and forevermore. And he said, Shall I return to Ur of the Chaldees, who seek my face, that I may return to them? Or am I to remain here in this place? The right path before thee, prosper it in the hands of thy servant, that he may fulfill it, and that I may not walk in the deceitfulness of my heart, O God. And he made an end of speaking and praying, and behold, the word of the Lord was sent to him through me, saying, Get thee up from thy country, and from thy kindred, and from the house of thy father, unto a land which I show thee, and I shall make thee a great and numerous nation. And I shall bless thee, and I shall make thy name great, and thou wilt be blessed in the earth, and in thee will all the families of the earth be blessed. And I shall bless thee that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee. And I shall be a God to thee and thy son, and to thy son's son, and to all thy seed. Fear not, from henceforth and unto all generations of the earth, I am thy God. And the Lord God said, Open his mouth and his ears, that he may hear and speak with his mouth, with the language which hath been revealed. For it had ceased from the mouths of the children of men from the day of the overthrow of Babel. And I opened his mouth and his ears and his lips, and I began to speak with him in Hebrew, in the tongue of the creation. He took the books of his fathers, and these were written in Hebrew, and he transcribed them, and he began from henceforth to study them. And I made known to him that which he could not understand. And he studied them during the 6 rainy months. And it came to pass in the 7th year of the 6th week that he spoke to his father and informed him that he would leave Haran and to go into a land of Canaan, to see it and return to him. And Terah his father said unto him, Go in peace. May the eternal God make thy path straight, and the Lord be with thee, to protect thee from all evil, and grant unto thee grace, mercy, and favor before those who see thee. And may none of the children of men have power over thee to harm thee. Go in peace. And if thou seest a land pleasant to thine eyes to dwell in, then arise and take me to thee, and take Lot with thee, and the son of Haran thy brother, as thine own son. The Lord be with thee. And Nahor thy brother leave with me till thou returnest in peace, and we go with thee all together. Chapter 13. And Abram journeyed from Haran, and he took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother, Haran's son, to the land of Canaan. And he came to Ashur, and proceeded to Shechem, and dwelt near a lofty oak. And he saw, and behold, the land was very pleasant, from the entering of Hamath to the lofty oak. And the Lord said to him, To thee and thy seed will I give this land. And he built an altar there, and he offered thereon a burnt sacrifice to the Lord, who had appeared to him. And he removed from thence unto the Mount Bethel on the west, and Ai on the east, and pitched his tent there. And he saw and beheld the land was very wide and good, and everything grew thereon, vines and figs and pomegranates, oaks and alexis, and tabernath, and the oil trees, and cedars, and cypresses, and date trees, and all trees of the field. And there was water on the mountains. And he blessed the Lord, who had led him out of Ur of the Chaldees, and had brought him to this land. And it came to pass in the 1st year, in the 7th week, on the new moon of the 1st month, that he built an altar on this mountain, and called on the name of the Lord. Thou, the eternal God, art my God. And he offered an altar, a burnt sacrifice unto the Lord, and he should be with him, and not forsake him all the days of his life. And he removed from thence, and went towards the south. And he came to Hebron. And Hebron was built at that time, and he dwelt there 2 years. And he went thence into the land of the south, to Beloth. And there was a famine in the land. And Abram went into Egypt in the 3rd year of the week, and he dwelt in Egypt 5 years before his wife was torn away from him. Now Taenais in Egypt was at the time built 7 years after Hebron. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh seized Sarai, the wife of Abram, that the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Abram was very glorious by reason of possession in sheep and cattle, and asses and horses and camels and manservants and maidservants and silver and gold exceedingly. And Lot also his brother's son was wealthy. The Pharaoh gave back Sarai, the wife of Abram, and sent him out of the land of Egypt, and he journeyed to the place where he had pitched his tent at the beginning, to the place of the altar with Ai on the east and Bethel on the west. And he blessed the Lord his God who had brought him back in peace. And it came to pass in the 41st Jubilee, in the 3rd year of the 1st week, that he returned to this place and offered thereon a burnt sacrifice, and called on the name of the Lord, and said, Thou, the Most High God, art my God forever and ever. And in the 4th year of this week, Lot parted from him, and Lot dwelt in Sodom. And the men of Sodom were sinners exceedingly. And it grieved him in his heart that his brother's son had parted from him, for he had no children. In that year when Lot was taken captive, the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot had parted from him, in the 4th year of this week, Lift up thine eyes from the place where thou art dwelling, northward and southward and westward and eastward. For all the land which thou seest, I shall give. For all the land which thou seest, I shall give to thee and to thy seed forever. And I shall make thy seed as the sand of the sea. Though a man may number the dust of the earth, let thy seed, yet thy seed shall not be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and the breadth of it, and see it all. For thy seed shall I give it. And Abram went to Hebron and dwelt there. And in this year came Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Selazar, and Turgal, king of the nations, and slew the king of Gomorrah and the king of Sodom. And the king of Sodom fled, and many fell through the wounds in the valve of Siddim by the salt sea. And they took captive Sodom and Adam and Zeboim, and they took captive Lot also, the son of Abram's brother, and all his possessions, and they went to Dan. And one who had escaped came and told Abram and his brother's sons that his brother's son had been taken captive, and Abram armed him and his household servants. And for Abram and for his seed, 1/10 of the first fruits of the Lord, and the Lord ordained it as an ordinance forever, that they should give it to the priests who serve before him, that they should possess it forever. And to this law there is no limit of days, for he hath ordained it for the generations forever, that they should give to the Lord 1/10 of everything, of the seed, and of the wine, and of the oil, and of the cattle, and of the sheep. And he gave it unto him priests, and he gave it unto his priests to eat and to drink with joy before him. And the king of Sodom came to him and bowed before him and said, O Lord Abram, give unto us the souls which thou hast rescued, but let the booty be thine. And Abram said unto him, I lift up my hands to the Most High God, that from a thread to a shoe latchet I shall not take aught that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich, save only what the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who went with me, Aner, Ashgal, and Mamre. These will take their portion. So I'm actually going to stop there, because you can tell I'm kind of fidgety and I feel odd. So I'm going to stop, and I'm going to continue with 14 in the next lesson. Let my body relax. I've been doing a lot. I did a lot today. a lot of walking, so I'm a little fidgety. But thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next time.